Japan an archipelago of nearly 7,000 islands. This unique geography, fostering both isolation and a deep connection to nature, shaped a civilization unlike any other. For almost 1,000 years, one tradition defined this nation, the samurai. But who were these enigmatic warriors? What hidden forces shaped their centuries of rule? And what profound secrets lie beneath the surface of their legendary code of honor? Their story is not merely one of clashing steel and unwavering loyalty. It's a saga woven with threads of hidden power, profound social transformations, and a mysterious, almost poetic end that would forever reshape the destiny of a nation. Imagine stepping back in time. Hear the faint, rhythmic echo of temple bells drifting through mist-shrouded mountain valleys. The soft rustle of silk robes in the imperial courts of Kyoto. The delicate clacking of wooden sandals, subtly mingling with the distant, chilling battle cries of armored warriors. This was feudal Japan, a world of stark, captivating contrasts. Here, the serene discipline of Zen meditation halls coexisted, often uneasily, with the ever-present tension emanating from formidable stone-walled castle keeps. Powerful lords meticulously plotted their next conquests. In this world, the delicate brushstrokes of a master calligrapher and the precise movements of a master swordsman shared the same deep commitment to perfection. For the samurai, the arts of peace and the arts of war were never separate disciplines. They were two sides of the same, meticulously honed, impossibly sharp blade. The very word samurai itself holds a deeper meaning, stemming from the ancient Japanese verb, which translates to serve. But these warriors, often idealized in popular culture, were far more than mere servants. They were shrewd administrators, profound artists, insightful philosophers, and the ingenious architects of a complex social order that would remarkably endure for an astonishing 7 centuries. Their lives were rigidly defined by an unwavering commitment to their chosen lord, to their extended family, and to an incredibly demanding, often brutal, code of honor that dictated their every action, even unto death. Yet, beneath this seemingly rigid and disciplined facade, a captivating historical question lingers, a mystery begging to be unraveled. How did a society, seemingly fractured by constant brutal warfare, shifting loyalties, and fierce individual ambition, manage to not only survive but remarkably thrive for so long? And what hidden currents, what unseen forces, truly flowed beneath the surface of this disciplined, often unforgiving world? To truly understand the samurai, we must journey back to the mists of ancient Japan, long before the iconic armor and curved swords. The earliest foundations of Japan's warrior class were laid in protohistoric times, rooted deeply in spiritual practices that revolved around a profound reverence for nature spirits, the komi-and, an intimate, almost mystical, connection to the land itself. This animistic worldview established a spiritual foundation that would subtly influence samurai sensibilities for millennia. As new migrations arrived from the Asian mainland, they brought with them transformative technologies, the cultivation of wet rice, intricate weaving techniques, and advanced metalworking, which allowed for the creation of superior tools and, eventually, superior weapons. With these innovations, more hierarchical social structures began to emerge, hinting at the gradual rise of powerful clan leaders who could command labor and resources. Intriguingly, ancient Chinese chronicles from the 3rd century AD speak of a powerful female shaman queen, Himiko, who ruled a federation of states in Japan, wielding both political authority and spiritual power. This suggests an early, fascinating intertwining of political leadership and mystical authority, perhaps laying the groundwork for the unique power dynamics of feudal Japan. The monumental, keyhole-shaped burial mounds of the Kofun period, massive, awe-inspiring tombs constructed for these early powerful elites, further signify the undeniable emergence of a ruling class defined by both accumulating wealth and burgeoning military prowess, the true, if distant, precursors to the disciplined, highly skilled samurai we would eventually come to know. Following these ancient origins, Japan moved into the Nara 710 to 794, and then the Heian. 794–1185 periods, eras dominated by a flourishing imperial court and the refined aristocracy in the capital. It was a time of immense cultural borrowing from China, Buddhism, Confucianism, a sophisticated writing system, and centralized governmental structures. Yet, as the imperial court became increasingly absorbed in poetry, art, and palace intrigues, its direct control over the distant provinces began to wane. Wealthy court nobles established vast estates, exempt from taxation, and to protect these lands, they began to hire armed retainers. Similarly, influential religious institutions, particularly powerful Buddhist monasteries, also developed their own armed forces to protect their land and influence. Blurring the lines between spiritual devotion and martial might, it was in this fertile ground of decentralization that the regional warrior clans truly began to grow in power and influence. They were often rougher, more pragmatic, and deeply skilled in mounted archery and swordsmanship, qualities essential for controlling the unruly countryside. As the central government's authority weakened, these warrior families, sometimes with distant imperial lineage themselves, became the de facto rulers of their territories. Among these rising military houses, two clans, above all others, stood out for their immense strength and ambition: the Taira, also known as Heike, and the Minamoto, also known as Genji. They initially served the imperial court, often providing military protection or suppressing rebellions. But beneath this veneer of service, their own ambitions grew, their rivalry intensifying with each passing year. The stage was set for a monumental confrontation. The simmering tensions between the Taira and Minamoto finally erupted into the cataclysmic Genpei War, a brutal, relentless 5-year conflict from 1180 to 1185 that would irrevocably reshape the political and social landscape of Japan. This was no mere regional skirmish. It was an epic, all-consuming struggle that involved massive armies of thousands of mounted samurai clashing on blood-soaked battlefields. Intricate naval engagements with hundreds of ships battling for control of the seas, and protracted siege operations against formidable fortresses. The sheer scale of the conflict was unprecedented, drawing in almost every major warrior house across the land. Legends, both heroic and heartbreaking, emerged from this crucible of conflict, whispered from generation to generation. Tales of warrior brilliance like that of Minamoto no Yoshitsune, a tactical genius whose battlefield maneuvers often seemed supernatural, almost divine. Yet, despite his unparalleled military prowess, Yoshitsune ultimately faced a tragic, bitter betrayal born of ruthless political machinations. The war culminated in the decisive and utterly haunting naval battle of Nara, a moment etched into the very soul of Japan. Here, in the churning waters of the Kanmen Strait, the Taira clan faced their final, desperate stand. Rather than face capture, humiliation, and dishonor at the hands of their enemies, many Taira warriors, including the young child emperor and Toku, chose the ultimate act of defiance. They leaped into the depths, taking their own lives in a mass drowning. It was a chilling, profound testament to their unwavering code of honor, a sacrifice that echoes through history. This battle became a cultural touchstone, forever immortalized in epic tales which vividly describe the spectral cries of the drowned Taira warriors, their ghostly figures haunting the waves, adding a layer of supernatural mystery and profound tragedy to their cataclysmic demise. The sounds of their agony, the whispers of their regret, said to linger in the ocean currents, fuel a deep curiosity about the human cost of such a war. The hard-won victory of Minamoto no Yoritomo in the Genpei War marked a seismic shift in Japanese history. Instead of merely continuing the tradition of controlling the emperor from behind the scenes in Kyoto, Yoritomo made a revolutionary move. He established a completely separate military government, the Kamakura Shogunate. This powerful new seat of power was strategically located far from the aristocratic opulence of the imperial court. In the distant Kanto region, a deliberate assertion of military dominance over civilian authority. This dual structure, with the shogun wielding actual decisive political and military power, while the emperor maintained his symbolic, spiritual, and ceremonial legitimacy, would define the intricate, often tension-filled, dance of Japanese politics for the next 7 centuries. It created a fascinating, almost secretive dynamic. The true power resided in the military capital, pulling the strings of the ceremonial imperial court in Kyoto, whose inhabitants lived in a world of refined artistry and ancient rituals, often seemingly detached from the harsh realities of governance and warfare. This separation of true power from symbolic authority remains a curious and defining feature of feudal Japan. Under the Kamakura shogunate, the warrior class solidified its dominance. And with it, the informal customs of the battlefield began to coalesce into a more defined philosophy. Bushido, the way of the warrior. This wasn't a static, codified document initially, but rather a set of evolving principles emphasizing unwavering loyalty to one's lord, honor above all else, self-discipline, courage in the face of death, and an absolute preference for an honorable demise over any form of dishonor or surrender. During this period, Zen Buddhism, newly introduced from China, found fertile ground among the samurai. Its austere discipline, emphasis on direct insight through meditation, and focus on mastering the self resonated deeply with the warriors' demanding lives, providing a profound spiritual framework for their often brutal existence. Yet even this powerful new regime faced existential threats that seemed to materialize from beyond the horizon, from the very edge of the known world. In 1274, and again in 1281, the vast, seemingly unstoppable fleets and armies of the Mongol Empire, under Kublai Khan, launched unprecedented invasions aimed at conquering Japan. On both occasions, as the Mongol forces landed and clashed with the determined samurai defenders, massive, sudden storms later revered as kamikaze, or divine winds arose. These storms utterly decimated the Mongol fleets, saving Japan from what seemed like inevitable conquest. Was this truly divine intervention, a miraculous celestial protection of Japan? Or was there something else entirely at play perhaps? A hidden combination of weather patterns, naval strategy, and sheer luck that merely felt supernatural. True nature of these divine winds remains a captivating element of historical mystery, fueling legends and a deep-seated belief in Japan's unique destiny to this very day. The Ashikaga shogunate and enduring divisions, despite the dramatic repelling of the Mongols, underlying tensions within Japan simmered, eventually erupting once more. The fall of the Kamakura shogunate in 1333 was a dramatic affair, triggered by Emperor Go-Togo's audacious attempt to restore direct imperial rule and, crucially, the defection of the powerful warrior Ashikaga Tokugawa. This betrayal plunged Japan into renewed chaos, leading to the bewildering period of the northern and southern courts, a 60-year schism, where two rival imperial lines, each with their own supporting samurai factions, battled fiercely for legitimacy. How did Japan navigate such deep political and spiritual divisions for so long? And what were the true, often hidden, motivations behind these competing claims to the sacred chrysanthemum throne? The prolonged conflict left a lingering sense of fragmentation. The Ashikaga shogunate that eventually emerged and ruled from Kyoto saw a unique and fascinating blend of aristocratic refinement and samurai power. During this period, iconic Japanese arts flourished, often deeply influenced by Zen aesthetics. Exquisite ink landscape painting, the profound and minimalist No theater, and the meticulously choreographed tea ceremony became central to the cultural life of the elite, emphasizing simplicity, imperfection, and a reverence for nature, perhaps a philosophical response to the surrounding political chaos and uncertainty. But this brilliant cultural flourishing couldn't fully mask the steadily eroding political stability. The Onin War 1467-1477, an 11-year conflict that utterly devastated Kyoto, the very heart of the nation, marked a devastating turning point. It fragmented central authority and ushered in the turbulent Sengoku period, aptly named the Age of Warring States. The Age of Warring States, chaos and innovation, suspense in this brutal new era, stretching from the mid-15th to the early 17th century. Political power was derived almost solely from raw military strength, Ambitious daimyo, powerful regional warlords, carved out their own independent domains, constructing formidable, ingeniously designed castles that dotted the landscape and recruiting vast armies of samurai and peasant soldiers. Constant warfare was the norm, forcing rapid innovation and adaptation. Warfare itself evolved dramatically with the shocking introduction of European firearms arquebuses in 1543. Brought by Portuguese traders, these firesticks, initially viewed with suspicion, quickly revolutionized Japanese combat, challenging the samurai's centuries-old emphasis on swordsmanship, archery, and mounted combat. How did the proud samurai, whose identity and training were so deeply tied to their traditional weapons and martial arts, adapt to this terrifying new era of gunpowder and mass warfare? What did this technological shift mean for their ancient traditions, their honor, and their very way of life? It was a period of immense change, where ingenuity and ruthlessness were paramount for survival. From this crucible of relentless conflict, three extraordinary figures emerged, often called the Great Unifiers, who would finally bring Japan back from the brink of civil war and forge a new unified nation. Oda Nobunaga, the ruthless and brilliant visionary who embraced firearms. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the cunning commoner who rose through the ranks to wield immense power. And Tokugawa Ieyasu, the patient, strategic consolidator who ultimately secured the peace. Each, in their own unique, often brutal, and undeniably brilliant way, built upon the achievements of their predecessor, meticulously paving the way for an unprecedented era of peace, known as the Pax Tokugawa. The Pax Tokugawa, peace, and hidden tensions. The Tokugawa peace, established by Tokugawa Ieyasu in 1603, brought over 2.5 centuries of remarkable stability and self-imposed isolation to Japan. This was a period of immense social control and order, with a rigid class system placing the samurai at the top. But this profound peace came at a significant, almost existential, price for the samurai. With no more wars to fight, they were no longer active warriors in the traditional sense. Their roles fundamentally transformed. Many became administrators, bureaucrats, scholars, and even artists, leading to a profound identity crisis for a class whose very existence had been defined by martial values. Ironically, Bushido, the way of the warrior, reached its most refined and developed theoretical form during this long period of peace, providing a crucial moral framework that channeled the samurai's warrior energies into acceptable, often intellectual and civic pursuits. But what truly lay beneath this seemingly serene and ordered facade? Was there a deeper tension, a sense of quiet desperation or longing for their past, within the hearts of these no longer fighting warriors? The highly regulated Tokugawa society maintained its strict control through sophisticated surveillance systems, complex legal codes, and meticulously regulated movement of people, including the Senkan system, which required daimyo to spend alternate years in Edo, modern Tokyo, ensuring their loyalty. This reveals a constant underlying tension, a hidden hand of control beneath the outward tranquility. The iconic story of the 47 Ronin, a band of loyal samurai who meticulously planned and executed vengeance for their disgraced lord, became a timeless legend. This tale powerfully highlighted the enduring samurai virtues of unwavering loyalty and perseverance, even in a time of mandated peace. Yet, their subsequent mandated honorable suicide by the shogunate exposed the inherent tragic conflict between rigid law and the deep-seated personal samurai code of honor, leaving a lingering, profound question about the true meaning of duty and sacrifice in a changing world. The end of an era, the samurai's last stand and lingering legacy. Mystery of transformation. As the 19th century dawned, the seemingly unshakable Tokugawa system faced mounting internal and external pressures. Economic strains burdened the population, social tensions simmered beneath the surface. And then came the decisive external shock, the arrival of Western imperial powers. Most famously, Commodore Matthew Perry's formidable black ships in 1853. These foreign vessels, with their advanced technology and insistent demands, shattered Japan's centuries of self-imposed isolation and brutally exposed its military and technological vulnerability. The shogunate's inability to respond effectively to these unprecedented threats led to widespread dissatisfaction and ultimately to its collapse. The Meiji Restoration of 1868 was not a revolution from below, but a dramatic, transformative period. Led by reformist samurai themselves, driven by a vision of a strong, modern Japan capable of standing against Western powers. They systematically dismantled the very feudal institutions that had defined Japan for centuries. The privilege of wearing swords, the most visible and potent symbol of samurai status, was abolished. The samurai's centuries-old monopoly on military service ended, replaced by a conscript army, and their hereditary stipends were gradually eliminated. The formal status of the samurai, as a distinct class, officially disappeared from the legal codes of Japan. Many struggled to adapt, some became entrepreneurs, others joined the new government, and a few even led final, desperate rebellions. Like the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, only to be crushed by the new national army. The final sleep of feudal Japan came not through a violent, widespread revolution by the oppressed, but through a remarkable internal transformation led by members of the very class that had defined the feudal order. The samurai, as a formal status group, vanished into the pages of history, their era concluded. But the spirit that forged them, that profound sense of discipline, honor, loyalty, and a pursuit of perfection, remains powerfully active, subtly connecting contemporary Japan to its extraordinary historical journey. The mystery of how this powerful and enduring system, built upon rigid hierarchies and martial prowess, ultimately yielded to a new, modern era without a catastrophic, all-encompassing civil war, continues to captivate and intrigue historians and scholars worldwide. The legacy of the samurai endures, a testament to a civilization truly unlike any other, still explored, critiqued, and reinterpreted in the light of evolving contemporary concerns. This extraordinary historical journey offers profound insights into how societies organize power, cultivate enduring values, and navigate the delicate balance between cherished tradition and inevitable, often disruptive, change. What profound, perhaps even hidden, lessons can we still uncover from the rise, the reign, and the enigmatic peaceful passing of Japan's legendary samurai?